Welcome, and thanks for joining us. My guest today is Tara Palacios, the Director of BizLaunch for Arlington Economic Development. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. Why don't we start off by just having you tell us a little bit about BizLaunch and what you guys do and what your function is.
Oh, that's awesome. I like to say that BizLaunch is the keeper of dreams. A lot of entrepreneurs come to us at the very first time. They may not have talked to their family or their significant others, and they come to us with their dreams, and we help them through the process of how to start and grow their businesses. I founded the program back in 2002, and it's been a joyful ride ever since. And so we hit about, I'd say about 8,000 businesses a year, whether they come to our workshops or technical assistance.
And it's really a soup to nuts kind of organization. Tell us sort of, how do you begin with a budding entrepreneur? Do you help them with a business plan or how to secure funding? What are the steps along the way?
So typically what we'll do is we'll meet with them one-on-one, and we find out where they are at any given time. We'll ask them what their aspirations are. Like, if money wasn't an object, if you could just go off and start your business, what would that look like to you? And then what we do is we throw facts to it and then tell them, okay, based on what you want to do, this is the map. This is your roadmap. This is how you're going to need to paint your canvas. Because over time, we see what successful entrepreneurship looks like. And so we really want to make sure that they don't lose money, that they're off and running. If they don't have enough capital to do what they need to do, where to go, and how to manage that. And so the business plan is part of the process, but it's also your mindset and understanding what is out there in the ecosystem that you need to tap into based on where you are at the moment of time that you've met with us.
Now, we talked to you, I guess it was last in 2022.
Yes.
A lot's changed since then
Oh my goodness.
in the business community from during the pandemic to now. Tell us about some of those changes that you're seeing in terms of who the entrepreneurs are, who's looking at starting new businesses now.
It's so interesting, Deb. Things have changed astronomically, but then some things stay the same. One of the biggest differences is we're seeing women start businesses at a fast clip. At first we thought it was just us in Arlington, and then as we started looking at the numbers, it's happening across the country. And where I find it's so interesting, and if you look at women in general, they're starting businesses at 114%.
Wow.
Federal government is starting to really put a lot of resources to that number. They're challenged because access to capital and the growth of their businesses are not on par as with men, but we see this as an opportunity. Also, Black-owned businesses, and if you look at women of color that are Black that are starting businesses, they're growing at a tremendous clip. But these access to resources are really challenged by a lot of these groups. And so we see that as an opportunity for us to be able to help them and build wealth and sustainability for our community.
How is that different, I guess, in terms of how you direct people to find resources like that? Is it more challenging for you guys?
It can be tough because we need to go where they are.
Yeah.
And being part of local government, sometimes that's really hard because we try to help as many and everyone as we possibly can. But when you have to look at those groups and understand and for people to be able to see themselves. So we do a lot of programming where we look at great case studies, best practices from some of the leading women entrepreneurs in the area, Black entrepreneurs, just a very diverse swath. We have them come out and talk to other businesses, and then that attracts people. And being able to do very deliberate programming. One that we did this past winter was a minority vendor fair with the Hyatt Regency in Crystal City. And our goal was to bring together 65 Black-owned businesses and to have them open up an opportunity for them to be able to vend to other large corporations, so the Hyatt, Walmart, Target. And we had 65 vendors that presented themselves for a day-long conference, and each one of them got contracts.
Wow.
So it's this type of work when you're very deliberate and you outreach and you just build this ecosystem within a community that makes a win-win all the way around.
I want to talk more about that, but before we do, I also want to ask you about older business owners.
Oh, yes.
And have you seen changes there, and if so, what are they?
Yes, that's another thing since the pandemic. A lot of legacy businesses, or those that are 10 or more years out there in the ecosystem, many of them some are over 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. And the pandemic showed that the way we did business, you've got to change. Online presence, people aren't shopping the same way, people aren't buying goods and services the same way. So many businesses that were successful based on their brick and mortar and people visiting them, now the way it works is you've got to have that online presence.
Right.
And so working with a lot of older adults to get them to kind of pivot and be online, to have social media and how to use social media has also been an opportunity for us, because they, and many of them that were able to pivot during the pandemic and are continuing to pivot today, are really reaching out now more than ever before, because they realize my target market is different, my audience is different. I need to be on Instagram, I need to be on LinkedIn. And so how do I use those platforms? And as a community, that's a real opportunity for us to be able to help these businesses change their models, change their strategy, who they target, and be present so that they can be found.
Get that website updated.
Get that website updated. That call to action, everybody.
So, I wonder, do you run into some resistance ever?
Oh my.
Because, you do make dreams come true for people.
Yes.
And I think, in a lot of ways, there's some psychotherapy going on with
really
the job
is.
that you do. You really have to help people figure out what their dreams are and how to make those reality. That's a huge task, and I would assume very challenging at times.
Oh, it can be challenging.
Yeah.
The one thing when we look at success in business, it's the ability for you to be able to self-reflect and know what your strengths and weaknesses are, and to just hone in on that. And so we feel an honor that the person has come to us, and I will level set. That's a huge word going on right now, where we meet people where they are at the moment, but then we also let them know at the end of the day, these are the things that we see that generates entrepreneurial success. You are the business owner. You have to make certain choices. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And also you have to be a bit coachable. You have to be able to self-reflect and say, I have this weakness. Maybe I need to look at a venture capitalist, or maybe I need to look to bring advisors on to help guide me through this. When you start a business, it's not a time to just say, I can do this and it's going to happen. You have to really be able to hone in on what that weakness is and then alter it quickly before you lose any money or you go down the wrong path. And so we very gently, because sometimes we don't know, sometimes it's luck. And sometimes businesses will fail. The key is to learn from that failure, quickly redo your strategy, build on those strengths so that you can move forward.
So there needs to be flexibility, I would say.
Yes, very flexible.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about some events that you guys might have. You mentioned that really wonderful organization that you had connecting minority businesses. Do you have other things happening in the community?
Goodness, this fall we have a whole bunch. We're going to be doing a series on starting a business, making sure that you have all the proper tools. We also have an art walk coming up on October 5th, where people have the ability to meet with makers and to experience art in all its various forms. And then we're going to be celebrating Hispanic heritage as well. And so people can find all of that information right on our website. I encourage people to sign up for our newsletter, because we're going to be having all types of events and activities, including Small Business Saturday, which is particularly important. It's the day after Black Friday, and we really want folks to be able to shop local, shop hard, shop all the time, and we incentivize people to do so.
Finally, I would just ask you, what do you say to someone who wants to strike out on their own and has this vision to see something come to fruition, whether they have years of experience in business or they're just starting out, which can feel incredibly overwhelming. Where do they begin? What would you say?
I would encourage them to reach out to their economic development office or their chamber of commerce. Being here in the DMV, there's so many resources for small businesses and people that have an idea. Because what you want to do is make sure to bring that dream to reality is to map it out, write it down, do a strategic plan, understand your competition, understand the marketing of it all and social media. Do that before you launch, and then the issues and problems as they crop up, you've already thought about it, and so you just begin your journey of success. But reach out, don't do it alone.
Wonderful. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's Tara Palacios, the Director of BizLaunch for Arlington Economic Development. I'm your moderator, Deborah Feinstein. For more on this discussion, visit WTOP.com and search Small Business September. Thanks a lot.